Good morning, everyone. I am Woody Cash. I'm the SCTE Golden Gate Chapter Content Knowledge Officer, and today I'm starting a series of getting to know your board. So this will be episode one, and we get to start at the very top, which will be Don Simmons. So Don is our president, newly elected president, and I have to say that in the few months he's been president, we've made some great strides with the chapter and seem to be sailing right along, doing very well. So I'm happy to be part of his administration. So thank you, Don, so far for everything you've done. And let's get to know Don a little bit. So, Don, how did you find your way into this industry? The interviews I've done, people have some amazing stories about how they got involved in our industry.
Yeah, I agree. This is probably a favorite question of mine. How did you end up here? Because most people didn't grow up to say, I want to be a cable man, at least the ones joining in the 80s and 90s. Maybe today, now, I want to work on the internet. But first off, I want to thank you for starting this series, making the YouTube channel so robust. The Broadband Pioneer interviews were enjoyable, and I'm glad you're doing this and we're venturing out. But how did I get into broadband? So I do have a fun story, I suppose. So I graduated from UC Santa Cruz in like 97. I was a U.S. history major, education minor, graduated with honors. But I wasn't ready to be a teacher coming right out of college. I kind of didn't want to do it. A friend of mine had a room in a house in the Mission in San Francisco and a job for me at a record store, Tower Records. And so I went and did that for a couple of years. And that was fine. It was fun, whatever. It wasn't, it was sort of paying the bills, but I kind of needed to move on and get a career. Still wasn't ready to be a teacher. But I did see TCI cable technicians come in and shop for records. So I would ask them questions, hey, what's that like? What's the pay like, and that sort of thing. And it seemed to fit the mold. I wanted to kind of still move around. And I know the shop was down the street from my house. It was right there on Folsom. So I lived kind of in that neighborhood. So I applied, and I had learned that, we're going to have this exciting new product called digital cable coming out and that sort of thing, if that can take you back a little bit. And I was offered a role. In fact, I was offered a role at TCI, and I was offered a role at PG&E. I had both offer letters in my hand. PG&E was for a meter reader job, which didn't come with benefits and was more of a hiring hall kind of situation, no vacation. While the TCI letter seemed more about career oriented, and that was kind of what I was looking for, with benefits, and I kind of saw a career path. So that's how I started on my journey.
That is quite interesting and quite different from many of us who kind of stumbled into it. And you finished your degree and did that first, which is really nice. But a lot of us didn't take that exact path. So I like that. So you filled many roles in your tenure in the industry. Kind of walk us through some of those and maybe a timeline of how long you were in place.
Yeah, so I've been in the industry for 25 years now. Started off as an installer in San Francisco, became a service tech and a lead technician. And at that time in 99 and 2000, swing shift or night crew was becoming a new concept. And I ended up joining that. And during that time, so I had the mornings off. I started at 11 or noon, I can't remember. And that's where I really got a lot of experience and knowledge. So I had the morning to myself, still single and that sort of thing. And having, kind of an studious background, getting through college and history, you actually have to do a lot of reading and writing. I got hooked on the NCTI books, and I got hooked into just cable technology. So I'd study those all morning. And then at night, I would do or afternoons, I'd do some installs. And then at the nighttime, it was often repairs from maybe something earlier in that day, which actually advanced your career kind of even more, or your cable knowledge, that sort of thing. So that's kind of where my foundation came from. Then there was an opening for network down in the Menlo Park, Palo Alto area, and they were just starting their HFC rebuild, which was a very memorable time being part of network and being part of rebuild. Lots of overtime, lots of fixing, lots of getting to learn, going from a 33 amp cascade with return. That's what that system had. Wasn't Mark Harrigan's 50 something, right? But to an HFC, that was really cool to see. Then somewhere around 2005, somebody said, I think you'd make a good trainer. And that's where my education minor came in. So I was a technical trainer for a while, but I wanted to complete my technical goal of going to head end. So from the technical trainer, I became a head end tech, 2007 or so, 2008, and fulfilled that time. Capacity was becoming a thing. We now had return, and people weren't just sending emails back and forth. They were sending pictures and videos. So capacity started to become a thing, and I was asked to help out with that. So I became a capacity engineer. So around 2009 to 2012. Then this is all through TCI, AT&T, and Comcast. Then Comcast in California wanted to start an official project management office. And I was interested in having more transferable skills. So I became a project manager for a few years. That PMO office got stood up and was established. And then they broke off a few of us and became this one division team. So a small group within PMO called Product Operations Deployment Management. That's a mouthful. But basically, we ushered in new products that were coming through and making sure, testing their reliability or any challenges that were going on out there. Then I went back to a technical role into capacity as a capacity manager for California at Comcast. That morphed into a role of access engineering manager. And the capacity manager job was the official first people manager role that I had. I had some people management experience, but not the direct people manager role. So I did the access engineer. And here we are again at Rebuilds doing either Remote PHY, FDX, or EPON. So I accepted a role in what's called pre-vet engineering as a manager of a group. And that group more or less is just half kind of engineering, half kind of design is a simple way of putting it. And so that's where I sit today. And I've just enjoyed the career the whole time. I've already exceeded my goals and expectations that I ever had.
Yeah, that was a very interesting journey, far different than mine. But I would like to make one point. The feedback I got from you is being the capacity manager is the people that the network managers that you worked with. They loved you because you pretty much took care of everything except maybe the installation part, but you looked at the design, you ordered all the equipment, you had everything in order, and everything went very smooth. So that was very nice, and I would have loved to have you as my capacity manager. So what inspired you to get involved with the SCTE? Obviously, you heard about it because we've been around before you even came on board, but a lot of people, they kind of hear about it and they don't really get involved. What inspired you to get involved?
Well, joining SCTE first, I guess I'll take that question in two parts. Joining SCTE and then joining the Golden Gate chapter board. So Back when I was an installer, my technical trainer at that time, Ron Gay, still remember him, still could see his face. He said, you know, if you want to go the technical route, the engineering route with in this industry, join SCTE. It was no cost at that time, and so I did. And you know, I probably had an experience with SCTE that most people have an experience with SCTE. They go to the vendor show. They are notified about some hands-on training, so they try to make it out to there. I remember even taking days off to try to get to some trainings if I couldn't get out a quota, because I was just so into the technology. I did get a little bit into the BCE certification back when they had that that infrastructure. It's now since changed, but that was about it. And some of the most memorable stuff is the vendor show, the trainings I would go to the vendor show, the conceptual overview it would give me beyond just my company, right? So my company might be focused on one type of architecture, one type of product, and that's fine. But the overall industry training really kind of opens your eyes that I get from the vendor show that SCT would bring, and show, oh, this is possible, and this is possible, and this is why the direction, you know, whatever company I'm with is choosing, because it's cost effective or whatever. So that was kind of my experience with SCTE. And since I gained so much knowledge and I was meeting so many different people, that's the other thing too, the networking piece of it. I thought somewhere around, I think 2016, maybe I should be giving back to this organization too, that had given me so much, right? Allowed me to kind of expand and explore. So I started going to board meetings, and then finding a way to make myself useful at board meetings, not even being a full board member at the time. So our board meetings are open to anybody. They just need to ask. But what's really important is bring some value, right? So I would volunteer to do some tasks, and then that ran into kind of a valuable resource of making sure we're compliant and we're competitive, because we do compete against other boards. It seemed like folks kind of like that, and that elevated me up to different roles. Now I'm at president, but mostly the main takeaway is the reason why I got involved with serving on the board is to serve the membership and give back what was given to me. Oh, you're on mute, sir.
Yeah, I just realized that. Luckily, it just prompts me when I'm on mute. So yeah, and you've been a huge contributor to our local board, and I'd say the SCTE in general. So we really appreciate that, Don. So I did miss one point I'd like to go over. So did you have any high, low points, either on the board and or just in the industry in general that you share with us? Laughable points is always good too.
Yeah, like a story within the
Yeah,
industry. I hear you.
yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to say, Woody, you have provided a lot of hard work. I mean, we wouldn't have this much training without your passion to ensure our membership and beyond get the knowledge. So it's a team effort. So thank you for your acknowledgement, but we also need to acknowledge you. But as far as a story goes, I guess in the industry, I've got a lot of stories in my head. And let me just say, working in San Francisco, I can go on days for many, many different stories. But one I think that's kind of good, kind of fun, and that I was thinking about, and kind of takes a technical piece to it too in a fun way, was again, service tech in San Francisco. And I get a call for everything all out, all services out, right? And it's pretty rough house. It's not a well taken care of house. There's some rough people on the porch of this house. Either these gentlemen had done some time or wanted you to make it look like they've done some time, so you could fill in from there, right? I don't want to get into too much judgment or that sort of thing, but they were a rough group, right? And you know, they were all out and that sort of thing. So the first thing I do, because it was underground, it was in the front, I go to the tap, and there's a leakage tag on there. And so for folks that don't know what a leakage tag, I don't even know if they still do this today. network techs drive around, and if they find a leak within a home and it's bad enough, they'll disconnect it and put a tag on there. I was like, okay, so now I'm dealing with a leakage call. So I have to explain to this individual kind of what leakage is and why I need to get in. Who knows what's going on inside the home? You've seen plenty of things if you've ever done the homework. So your imagination kind of goes wild. And so I explained to him about leakage. And the response I get back from the one individual, kind of the leader of the pack, was like, oh, is that why every time we watch Discovery Channel, which is channel 15 at 400 some megahertz, we hear like SFO communication? And he says every like 15 minutes, the screen will wash out, and then we'll just hear some like aeronautical communication, right? We'll just hear SFO. And I'm like, yes, that is bad. So not only is this thing egressing, it's ingressing, right? It's still a one-way system back then. So it was probably growing there forever and just wasn't caught. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty funny moment. So I said, yeah, take me to your splitter. So he takes me down. There's a locked door with a padlock on it. He kicks it open because he wants TV so bad. So what I see is a house amp going into another house amp with splitters going everywhere and wires going everywhere. Totally not professionally installed. There might have been a few outlets that are professionally installed. I said, yeah, all this is causing the problem. And it's kind of funny also that this kind of rough fellow was watching Discovery Channel too. That was also kind of fun. So he's like, look, all I care about is that I have TV in my room and my sister's room. Everything else you can take out. I said, perfect. So I just ripped all that stuff out. They just had those two lines going to those two rooms, and it wasn't leaking anymore. But to hear somebody talk that they were receiving aeronautical and only, reading about that in the books and the radiant dome that causes, that must have been egressing and ingressing pretty badly.
Yeah, that was interesting. He actually realized the problem from the other side of things ingressing, and was cooperative, even though he looked like a rough house kind of guy.
He wanted TV, right? He wanted
TV.
And
he wanted Discovery Channel. That is also interesting. So, being the president of our chapter, you obviously will have a limited tenure, but what is your vision going to be like? You just started, and you're going to be, I don't remember the limit on the 2-year limit. So what do you hope to accomplish in those 2 years?
Yeah, great question. I think I got 3 parts to that question. What do we hope to accomplish? One, I hope we can restore aspects of the chapter from pre-COVID days. As you know, COVID really took us for a loop within the Golden Gate chapter. We did a lot of hands-on training. We didn't know what that was going to look like, not doing hands-on training anymore. Not necessarily the fault of COVID, but more kind of some technical changes and agreements that were made, how the program works for our largest MSO, Comcast, and how to become a member had shifted multiple times that year. So my hope is we can restore back to kind of those pre-COVID days of having robust networking events, which we did this year. I think our vendor show and the topics you helped manage for the vendor show was attended really well. So already seeing a good measure of success there. And then getting those membership numbers back. I think there's a lot of folks out there that think they're members, but we really need them to check their settings on their account and see if they're not only an active SCTE member paid through maybe this year, for example, but also a Golden Gate chapter member, which I think some of those things might be missing, and it would be nice to kind of get back to those spots. Secondly, modernizing some processes. Right, there's some things we will not get back from pre-COVID, and you've been a great help within the chapter. Having this YouTube channel, doing these interviews, hard to get in front of people in live anymore. So finding virtual ways to do that, virtual trainings, that sort of thing. How do we make things more shorter, because of shorter attention spans nowadays, and things more accessible? But also from the HQ standpoint, those processes are getting more modernized, and I'd like to make sure we carry those through here, such as I just learned yesterday, you don't need a human proctor anymore. There's going to be kind of an automated proctor process that's going to be kind of easier. I think members will see, again, from HQ, that there is a new platform coming out that's going to be social and being able to access training and host trainings on there better. I forget the name of the platform that's coming out, but I got a demo of it last quarter, and it looks really easy and exciting to engage in, both iPad and phone friendly. Something very professional. HQ is bringing a lot of more professional out of the box products in that's going to make it easier for our membership. So I want to help make sure we usher that. And then lastly, my vision, it has to do with the board itself. I want to make sure we have all our board members engaged, active, and empowered to think they can make changes, right? Not the same routine every year, but what if we do a little enhancement here, or try something this, or go lead that. Again, you're modeling that behavior too, Woody. Try getting these interviews out, I think are wonderful. It's a wonderful experiment, and you're going to be very successful with it. Those type of things I'd like to see pushed forward during my tenure.
Well, thank you for that, Don. And it's been a great pleasure to get the chance to get your interview, and I hope those folks that are watching will take a moment and look at the options for becoming members, because that's one thing we would love to do, is drive our membership numbers. I know a lot of people take advantage of, well, I have to be a member and I can get some of this, some of the training and some of the other things for free. But just as a reminder, there's so much more that you can get involved with the SCTE, and I hope you think about the way Don got involved and got really involved, because Don, you make a good point. The scope of what you see in our field is so much different when you're involved in the SCTE than it is if you're just like kind of tunnel vision within your own company. So it really broadens your horizons to not only the technology, but just the networking with the experts, and seeing the whole field of the things that all the different companies are doing differently. It is really amazing, and you will find this industry and this business just even more exciting when you see that broad scope of things. So again, I encourage everybody to join, and also to think about getting involved. I think many of us will contribute our success in our careers in some part to the SCTE. So thank you, Don. Thank you everyone for watching, and hope we'll keep these interviews coming so you can actually get to know our board, and everybody have good seeing you too. Bye.